here, though. It's a good thing I tell my boss I'm going to be late today. Just give me the heads up when we're live. All right. Good morning, everybody, at the waiver wire show starting again. Let's go home. Let's go. All right. We are doing this again so that I can not have a waiver wire thing that people will look at that will be broken. I'm going to copy this link. I am very not on the ball. All right, guys. Welcome to the waiver wire reports. Hopefully we got sound and there's not going to be an issue like there was in the last one, and everything will be cool. I am Wally Ismail. With me, as always, is Josh Chuboff, and we're going to help you get your waiver wire needs taken care of and done. I need to. I just want to delete this playlist because I don't want anyone to actually look at the old waiver wire thing. How do I delete this thing? Yeah, because it's not giving me the option, and that's kind of a problem because I need that deleted. Well, you know what? I'm sure they'll figure it out when they see there's a second one. All right, guys. So we're gonna bullet point the beginning, which is basically you had Justin Fields. You feel like you don't have a quarterback right now. Waiver wire starting to get bare. There is one man that I'm telling you you need to be looking for, and that man is named Sam Howell. So Sam Howell is the guy you want. Week 6, he had 151 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He finishes the QB 8. He is the QB 11 on the season. Sam Howell has offensive weapons around him. He has a good offensive coordinator. I mean, we can see Kansas City looks a lot worse now without Eric Bieniemy and with Matt Nagy. Oh my God, that game! I just got mad again thinking about that Thursday night football game. And basically, like, he's getting a lot of garbage time production. He's getting a lot of real production. Sam Howell, he's not a good quarterback. I'm invoking the Blake Bortles rule. You don't have to be good at football to be good at fantasy football. He's young, he's inexperienced, but he is putting up fantasy points. And if you need a quarterback, Sam Howell's the guy you should be looking for. Only 24% rostered. The waiver wire cut list has not been published yet that I can see. Let me see. Maybe it has since I last checked, and then I'll have something to talk to you about. It hasn't. So I'll just tell you guys, go to Football Absurdity, and Jeff Crisco will have that wonderful list of guys that you can get rid of that you know that you want to keep, but in your heart of hearts you should cut, and you just need someone to tell you. Jeff Crisco's that man. So check it out at Football Absurdity. It should post sometime later today.
Let me tell you,
back.
You can cut DeMarcado from Arizona because he's not the guy.
Yeah, no, yeah. I spent fab on him. Turned out I didn't need to spend fab on him. Kind of annoyed about it, but what are you gonna do? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get me some Jeff Wilson Jr. So here's the thing I was talking about, like on silent in the last waiver wire report that wasn't having anything, and that is very simply, Jeff Wilson Jr. plays running back for the Miami Dolphins with Devin Achan on injured reserve. There is going to be a running back spot that opens. Selvin Ahmed, not someone I believe in. Jeff Wilson Jr. has shown he can be good. He's been successful in San Francisco. He knows his offense. And it's not going to all go to Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is not built to be a workhorse running back. They took him out pretty early when that game got away from everyone else. But Jeff Wilson Jr., ooh-wee, let me tell you, I want me some Jeff Wilson Jr. Miami Dolphins, #1 rushing offense in football. Miami Dolphins, #1 scoring offense in football. Oh, and Miami Dolphins also head of one of the greatest offenses of all time, the greatest show on turf, the 2000 Rams offense with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. The Miami Dolphins, the 2023 Miami Dolphins, better than the best offense I've ever seen in my life. So
are you aware? Are you aware that they made a movie about Kurt Warner, like a biopic about Kurt Warner?
I did know that
With like Zach Levi as Kurt Warner.
I never watched it. Did you see it?
No, but it's been showing up like so. Little clips of it have been showing up on TikTok, and I'm like, this is like an alternate reality movie, right? Like this movie didn't actually get made, but I don't know. I have to sit down and give it a watch just to.
I remember when that happened. We should watch that together because I think that would be fun.
Oh man,
do a little watch party. Maybe a football absurdity watch party for the Kurt Warner movie.
Oh my gosh, that'd be.
Throw that. That could be fun. There's gonna be a lot of me roasting it because that's what I do. The Jeff Wilson Jr. is rostered in 55% of leagues. It's a little bit above my normal threshold, but he's such a good option. If you're not trying to get Jeff Wilson Jr. everywhere, you are playing fantasy football wrong. In the great words of Hank Hill from our Discord, Shane, it is. I'm not here to get fourth place in my fantasy football league. Jeff Wilson might not do anything, but he's the guy with the greatest ceiling. Like, he's the guy who could give you RB1 upside on a weekly basis.
Also, it's week 7 on the waiver wire.
Yeah, there ain't
We're grasping at straws, everybody.
It's desperate times. It's desperate times, people. So we got another one here. Roschon Johnson. 36% roster. This is my number 2 running back of the week. You know what? Yeah, well, I think that technically I have Roschon as my number 1 waiver wire. I think my logic there is that, like, Jeff Wilson Jr. is likely not on your waiver wire, but I'm pointing it out to you. But Roschon Johnson, the difference between him, like, to me, the running back room is about Roschon Johnson, Zach Evans, and Elijah Mitchell this week. All the backups to guys who are hurt. The thing is, we know for a fact that Khalil Herbert is going to miss multiple weeks. Christian McCaffrey and Kyren Williams might not even miss a week. We don't know this yet. So it's hard for us to really, say what value Mitchell and Evans have. So on that logic, I'm also going to put in Roschon Johnson first. The other things to consider, Justin Fields hurts. Justin Fields being hurt means the offense is going to lean into the run game. This coaching staff has historically shown they want to run the football. Last year, they were the number 1 rushing offense in football. So you want the team that's going to use the running back. And when Khalil Herbert gets back, if Roschon Johnson actually plays well, this is the rookie they drafted. They want him to have opportunities. He's also the best blocker on the team, which was very evident last week when running backs were just not picking up assignments properly and things were just getting absolutely destroyed. Roschon Johnson should be your number 1 waiver wire pickup, assuming Jeff Wilson Jr. not on your waiver wire, because he's going to have the most opportunities of any of these running backs, both in the short term and very likely in the long term. However, he's also on the worst offense of the 3, which is why I point out Zach Evans. He's my number 2 guy after Roschon Johnson, and the reason he's my number 2 guy over Elijah Mitchell is very simple. Well, not even just Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason. Because I don't know if it's Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason who's going to be getting looks behind Christian McCaffrey.
It's going to be both. We know how this playbook is run. If your name is not if your name is not McCaffrey in a Shanahan offense, guess what? It's going to be a committee of as many bodies as they can get back there, and sometimes it's going to be wide receivers.
This is exactly how it will play out if you try going for Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason. You will get Elijah Mitchell, and then Jordan Mason will get all the looks. Or you will get Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's running back. Yeah.
It's Schrodinger's running back, exactly that. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Your running back is a dead cat. So, let's see. Zach Evans, though. Here's the thing with Zach Evans. If Kyren Williams misses a couple of weeks, one of the concerns with Kyren Williams this entire season is he doesn't look like he's built to hold up for a full season. And he's been getting a lot of usage. So if Zach Evans, the rookie they drafted this year, shows anything and is on the field for a couple of weeks, does well if you pick him up, he could be a guy that does really good things for you. I think one thing that's worth noting too is if you are a Kyren Williams owner, I would still bump Zach Evans above Roshan Johnson. And I'm a big believer in I don't like handcuffs until my running back is hurt. Then I want my handcuff, especially on a guy who's getting a lot of usage, in that offense. At that point, I'd rather make sure that I have just the Rams running back. I don't know who is. I can figure that out when they announce the injury report at game time. Kyren Williams is playing. I play Kyren Williams. If he's not, I'll plug in Zach Evans and hope he does Kyren Williams things. If I get 80% Kyren
Listen,
Williams,
I would rather have Zach Evans than DeMarcado. That's the way I look at it.
DeMarcado is cuts.
No, but I'm saying, there's a guy on your bench that is cuttable.
I got some good benches. You'd be surprised. I don't get to I haven't been able to play the waiver wire this year as much as I normally do because I did a really good job drafting my starters and a lot of my upside guys are late season holds. So I'm not. I don't have. Although I do have a couple of DeMarcado.
You're gonna be looking back at your bench, going, "Wow, that guy was cuttable all along."
I only have a couple of those guys that I hold. There are long-term stashes that you got to wait for, and you have to be patient. And I got my guys. Zach Charbonnet, everyone's telling me he's cuttable. I think by the time the fantasy playoffs come around, Zach Charbonnet is going to be a guy that is going to be that was a good hold. Or I'll look stupid. It doesn't matter. He's my fifth running back almost everywhere. So it's not it's that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, kind of same thing. If you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, grab those guys and try to figure out what you're going to do. They should having the handcuff to the hurt running back is a good thing, and that it's not Josh Reynolds. Who's he?
The only thing about handcuffing to McCaffrey is it's like a magician handcuffing. You're like, oh, I got him, and it's like, no, you don't. My hand is still over here.
Oh my God, I'm handcuffed to the table now. What is this?
And the table has no legs. How did that work?
What is this wizardry? Honestly, this week the waiver wire for running backs is awful. If you're set at running back and you don't want to take those chances, I think Roshan Johnson, Jeff Wilson Jr., I'm happy to grab. They got value. But these other guys, if you're not comfortable, I think the wide receivers are a much stronger play this week. And we're going to start with my man.
In my family league, I have Kyren Williams and David Montgomery. Oof. But I also have Ramondre Stevens on the bench. So.
Oh, my God. Ramondre, how did he do this last week? Did he do okay?
Good.
Yeah.
He did decent. He found the end zone, I think.
Yeah, that was one of those where he was... I actually was putting out trade offers for him, but no one took them this week, and I'm glad because I was offering Drake London, and then the last 2 weeks
he
Drake
woke
London
up.
Actually looked good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, because I need him to get 1,000 yards this year for my 5-leg parlay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have 5,000 yard receivers. I did a 10-cent round robin parlay on 5 receivers getting 1,000 yards at the beginning of the season. Here are my guys. Here we got Tyler Lockett, who's been kind of meh, possibly the worst of the bunch. Drake London, Chris Olave, Mike Evans, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
I feel like 3 of those guys are going to hit, which will make it profitable. If 4 of them hit, it's great. 5 of them hit, I make $5.
I think Lockett might be the one that blows that up for you.
So far, that would be what history's telling me. He had a good week, though. He had almost 1,000 yards, or 100 yards this week.
Yeah.
So where's he at right now? 5 games into the season, he's at 251 yards. So he's not where I want him to be.
Yeah, but I think that's matchup. Biting him, but who knows?
But Olave's already at 414 yards.
I feel like Olave hasn't done anything this year, by perception wise, you know.
Oh, I hear you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 455. Where's Drake London at? Because he was really bad. He might be behind. Oh, he's at 329 now. Okay, he's made some progress.
Yeah.
I want my guys at right around that 300 mark. So, Lockett, we did London. Who's the last guy? Oh, Mike Evans. Evans is probably the best.
Evans probably crushing it.
386. He's kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's still.
Well, he had that injury, remember?
Yeah, that's true. But it's all good. Like, it looks like I got 4 guys that are still on pace, and one guy who's one good game from having it. And Lockett usually has that 200-yard game that like comes out of nowhere. I just gotta hope it hits. Deku, my man, how you doing?
Morning,
we
Deku.
just covered running backs. All your running backs are dead. All the handcuffs are available. Craig Reynolds is going to be interesting too, like the Montgomery handcuff, because he's only a Montgomery handcuff if Gibbs doesn't come back this week. And Gibbs looks like he's coming back this week, but you don't know, so you can't put a waiver claim on Craig Reynolds because that'd be stupid. Yeah, here's what I said about Zach Evans. Zach Evans is very simple. He is a guy you should be grabbing, especially if you have Kyren Williams. If I have Kyren Williams, Zach Evans is my number 1 waiver wire. Just because if Kyren doesn't play, I need to put someone in there, and it's going to be Zach Evans. And I want I'd rather just cover the running back position at on the team. Same logic for like Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason with Christian McCaffrey. But truth be told, I'd rather have Roschon Johnson because I think he's got better short-term and long-term value, and we know his guy is not gonna. DeMarcado, like, you didn't drop him already, Deku? You know the answer to this.
Deku. You've been watching us for a while. You don't need us in the room anymore. You just have the angel and devil on your shoulder that says both drop DeMarcado. We watched clips of that game. He's not the guy. He's not.
No, I mean, what was this? I want to see what his snap count was on that because I bet you it was terrible. Where are you, Arizona? Always takes forever to pull up. You know what? I'm just gonna scroll now. DeMarcado. Honestly, they played the Rams this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was on the field more than any of the other running backs.
Yep.
That's funny.
And did nothing.
Yeah, Damian Williams and Keontae Ingram were the guys who were actually the running backs. Yeah. Honestly, I think I just don't want yeah, he was. Well, I like DeMarcado. I was like, he's a good flyer. He looks like he's going to be the guy. Turns out he's not. Yeah. Honestly, I think this week is more about the wide receiver anyway, and I was just about to get to that. And I want to talk about my baby boy, Short King Josh Downs. 30% roster last week. Last couple of weeks, I've been telling you to look at him.
Josh touchdowns. Let's go.
Yeah, Downs had 8 targets last week, 5 catches for 21 yards. Not a lot of yards, but he did have a touchdown. And Downs last week, first time this season, he ran the second most routes on the team, more than Alec Pierce, which Alec Pierce is my guy. And I'm kind of annoyed he's not getting used, but I kind of knew the way this offense was structured, he was going to get phased out, which is too bad because that dude just looks the part, and every time they throw the ball his way, he seems to make a good catch. So I don't get it. But he's 29th in targets among all wide receivers right now, which basically means that he should be rostered in all formats. 29 targets among every receiver in football, that gives you a pretty decent floor for what you're going to get production-wise. Like last week I told you to take him. He was my number 1 wide receiver. He had a double-digit fantasy performance again this week. You should be rostering Josh Downs in every league.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Downs is just because he's against the Browns. Who cares? Like, I'm not worried about. I'm not just picking him up for 1 week. Odds are, if you're picking up a guy off the waiver wire, you're not starting him right away. He plays the AFC South the rest of the schedule. He's getting a bunch of targets.
That's pretty good.
What's pretty good?
I mean, that's pretty good. Like that,
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Playing the AFC South when you are not in the AFC South.
Yeah, but they are in the AFC South, so they will be playing them a lot more. You get six games against the AFC South, which is almost like having 6 games in the NFC North.
Yeah.
A lot of bad defenses.
Well, but then every once in a while you're running up against the Lions, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, God, what a world we live in where we're like, are the Lions one of the best teams in the NFC? The answer is yes,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
have.
kind of weird.
They suddenly have the same record as the Eagles and
Yeah, like
49ers.
if they beat uh Seattle in week 2, they're undefeated right now, and we're just like rolling with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, and Hollywood Brown. CeeDee Lamb, man, if he could have just gotten the end zone for me, that would have been nice last night. But that's okay. CeeDee Lamb had his game. That was like one of the few bets I got right this week, so that was kind of nice.
Oh,
So
by
another
the
guy.
way, by the way, Waleed, I'm outscoring my family league by 50 points this year. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are, are they gonna let me come next year to your
Well,
draft?
I don't know if they're not annoyed by my victory lap, you know.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, So another guy I talked about last week. Actually, these are all guys that I've talked about a lot this year, and people don't seem to be listening to me, and that's okay because they're not rostered as well as they should be. But this guy, I said to take a wait and see approach on. That was Rashee Rice with Kansas City. Like the problem was he wasn't on the field last week. People were talking about you got to pick him up. He only had 8 routes run
Right.
all game. That's not something I care about. But I will say that in week 6, his usage went up a decent amount. He had 4 catches for 72 yards. He had a 49% snap count, which put him right with like pretty much all of the wide receivers there. Like he was within 5 percentage points of Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Well, because I think
So
like the Mirage,
he's getting on the field more.
the Mirage in Kansas City, like has kind of evaporated. Like we used to be under the impression that there was just so many mouths to feed in Kansas City, and then we watched what happens when Travis Kelce is not on the field or not at 100%, and we just kind of see kind of the dearth in offensive production. So maybe I don't know, feeding a wide receiver consistently from going forward is probably the way to go for them. Maybe.
Well, the problem is Matt Nagy is the offensive coordinator, and you can see it. Like the play calling makes no sense. It's bad.
Yeah.
You're not attacking teams' weaknesses. You're just doing like a bunch of jet sweeps because I don't know. Like I have a feeling in a couple of weeks Andy Reid is going to take over play calling again. Like what he's doing.
Matt Nagy seems like the kind of guy that watched like the Little Giants like in the 90s and was like, every play in my playbook is going to be the annexation of Puerto Rico. Like
I don't think his playbook is that good, honestly. But Rashee Rice, he was drafted in the 2nd round, and his usage is going up, and he's very clearly the best receiver on the team. He's got a good chance of emerging as the number 2 option in Kansas City, and if he does, that will make a difference. So I think now is a time where like we're seeing the usage increase, and if you wait another week, it might end up being a week too long. This is where I'm trying to grab Rashee Rice. He's my number 2 guy because I think long term, like I want the guy who could end up emerging in the second half as number 2 receiving option for Patrick Mahomes. Like that just sounds like a really, really good thing to have. Now here's the guy that's really getting that I think is insane that we don't that he's still on waiver wires. Josh Reynolds is the wide receiver 28 on the season. I don't understand why people aren't like grabbing him. He's number 3 on routes run on that team. Right behind Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Detroit Lions are the number 4 scoring offense in football. Last week, Reynolds had 3 catches for 50 yards. You know, not the greatest performance, but at the same time, like, that's just a flex performance. It's something that, like, he's going to get it. He's running around on 70% of the team's dropbacks. Josh Reynolds, like, Jared Goff loves Josh Reynolds. He needs to be rostered in all formats. He should be. His production on the season and his usage merit being like on a bench. Like he's not a guy you ideally want to start, but matchup based, you could do a lot worse. But here's the other option here I'm going to throw at you. If you want a Detroit Lion, but Josh Reynolds isn't sexy enough for you, Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, the 2022 first-round pick that the Lions traded up for in Week 6. 3 targets, 2 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. A nice touchdown, too. He's a guy who could actually end up being a very explosive playmaker on this offense. Like, his ceiling is higher if you want to really invest. Like, Jameson Williams, 43% rostered. Josh Reynolds, 38% rostered. Honestly, I think both are very solid pickups. Jameson Williams is the ceiling play, but he could be a monster ceiling play. Jameson Williams was my number 1 receiver in this draft class. If he didn't have an ACL injury, I think he would have been the first receiver taken in 2022. And that draft class is nuts if you look at it. Drake London, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Who am I forgetting that's also really fantastic? Dodson and Burks haven't done much.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they're great players, though. They're great.
Yeah. Dodson, all he does is get open, and then Sam Howell throws to his tight end. That's what happens. It's very, very frustrating. But these are the guys that I think I'm looking for if I can get them. And finally, we are going to get to the tight end position. Tight end is trash, guys. It's awful. And I want to point out, I still think that tight ends should be there because tight ends are in football. People who get rid of kickers and tight ends in their leagues are boring and dumb. And they're like, well, I don't want the variance. You know what, man? Your running backs and wide receivers give you 6 too. Like, people convince themselves that it's the tight end and stuff that's a problem. Hey, I got Mark Andrews. I'm not complaining this year. I mean, could have got Sam Laporta, so I could have done better. But there are guys you can get. And there's one guy here that I'm actually going to say, I don't say it very often on my waiver wire report. I usually say wait for waivers to clear, then pick up a tight end. This guy, if he's available, fucking get him right away. Dalton Schultz. He was a sleeper that people liked at the beginning of the season, and he started off real slow. But I don't know if you've been paying attention. Dalton Schultz in half PPR, he's tight end 6 on the season, and it's on the back of his last 3 weeks. In his last 3 games, he's got 20 targets, 14 catches, 168 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He is what was his route? I had that on here. Okay, he's running a route on 67% of the team snaps. It's second most on the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud looks good. Rookies like their tight ends, and it's showing right now. I'm telling you right now, he has run the 3rd most routes for the Texans. And what was the most important thing? Yeah, in week 6, he had 7 targets, 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz, 51% rostered. You have a chance. If you need tight end help, get Dalton Schultz right away. And I think that covers the waiver wire report.
Hey, Wally, before we head out, can we Jordan Love versus Denver? Is that a good streaming option for with Burrow and CJ Stroud out?
Well, what I would say to you about that is that if we look at Denver against quarterbacks, they are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Yeah.
Ding ding ding.
I'm thinking Jordan Love is a streaming option against, but at the same time, let's see, because they've given up the most yards, the most touchdowns. Yeah, they're absolutely a streaming option. But and also Packers on a bye week, so they've had a week to prepare for this team. So
ding ding ding.
I think that Jordan Love is a solid streaming option if you're looking for it.
Okay.
I do a defensive streaming article. I do it usually after waivers clear because I'm not trying to get guys. I'm not trying to have someone spend something on a waiver. It'll post tomorrow. No, it'll post Thursday morning is when we do the defensive streaming article. There'll definitely be options. I haven't looked at the schedule this week, but let's take a quick look. If you want, I could try to do a quick rundown.
We should come up with a with rules of engagement when it comes to defensive streaming. Because I feel like there's a check down list of are they playing Denver?
Hey, you know who we should have been asking? Are they playing the Chicago Bears?
Are they playing the Bears?
Yeah, I'm actually going through this right now. I'm going to do a quick run through.
The Raiders are playing the Bears this week.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't know how I feel about streaming the Raiders, but actually they were a pretty good.
They were pretty stout against the Patriots, I think.
Yeah, the Vikings were the number 1 fantasy defense in football last week. Based on all the turnovers I saw, that checks out very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the courage to start the New York Jets this week, and I had like the Saints.
Coward. Coward.
And that killed me. But also the Bears were like a top 10 fantasy defense because they were playing the Vikings. It's really about who you're.
The Jets are only good at spoiling teams that should be undefeated. That's.
Oh, let's do this real quick because I'm going to give you I'm trying to pull up some stuff right now because I did not have this set up here. So let's see. So if we're looking at our defensive matchups this week, who are we going to want to be playing? The teams that are giving up the most. Who are the Giants playing? That's going to be the real question. That's going to be an option. I'm always looking at how bad that team is.
The Giants are playing the Patriots, I think. Hold on. I was just looking at players.
No, the Giants are playing
the Howell is playing. Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting one, too. Because you could make an argument for starting either the Giants or the Commanders defense. Like, who do you think's going to win that game?
But here's the thing. The Giants are kind of rated the middle of the pack from what I'm looking at.
What do you mean? As an option? That's because their defense sucks.
Yeah.
The Giants are also going to be playing on a short week. I think Washington's defense will be a really interesting play because the Giants give up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses. I also want to say, I bet you they're getting sacked a ton. Like don't they lead the NFL in sacks? Let's see. Hold on. If I'm right about that, but considering that offensive line, looking at the wrong thing here. Yeah, like right now, I'm looking at Washington, and I'm thinking if they're an available option, there's someone you are really going to want. And yeah, the Giants have given up the second most sacks in football. You know who's given up the most sacks? Washington.
Oh.
So I think what we want to do with that game, take the under. Yeah, the Packers against Denver is interesting. The Denver Broncos are giving up the 7th most fantasy points. They are scoring points, but they do some monumental fuck-ups. Where was the other, schedules here? Raiders against the Bears. Honestly, the Raiders are only giving up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. The Bears have been better, but who are the Patriots playing? That's what I want to know. Oh, hell yeah. I got the Buffalo Bills rostered in so many places. They were my number 2 fantasy defense going into the season, so where I couldn't get Dallas, I got Buffalo. And just seeing they're playing New England makes me so happy.
Oh my
that New England, I don't know if you watched any of the New England Raiders game.
Oh yeah.
But the Raiders made New England look incompetent. That's saying something about how bad that offense is right now.
Well, the fact that everyone's talking about that grumbles are starting with the fire Bill Belichick movement is it's so bizarre.
It's fantastic. I'm here for it. Another thing to keep an eye out to, the Bucs are playing the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are giving up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. That could be an interesting matchup going forward. I'll have a much more full breakdown in my Thursday morning article. Unfortunately, you can't get the streamer against the Vikings because they are the 49ers and someone has them rostered. The other one I would look at is, Carolina's on a bye, so you can't do that. So yeah, the teams to look at, I think Washington, the Packers, and the Bucs are going to probably be the 3 guys that I'm looking at the most. Detroit versus the Ravens is interesting. Because you know what? Honestly, the Raiders too. I'm going to be honest, especially if Tyson Bagent is the quarterback, I think that Bears team is going to look disgusting and awful. So I don't want them to. I want the Bears to win out and look good and Justin Fields to be healthy. But apparently there is no God. So that's just what that is.
The first and second pick in 2024.
That's the funniest thing to me. Like, they basically have the top 2 odds for the number 1 overall pick this year. And, like, I'm just excited to see how the Bears ruined Caleb Williams, who is supposed to be the greatest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, which I don't agree with. I don't think he's as good a prospect as Trevor Lawrence was, but I haven't dug into the tape yet.
Just get us an offensive line that functions, and you could get people like Brock Purdy that look amazing.
Here's the thing. It's really just a center position. Their tackles and guards don't look awful anymore, but like it's either Lucas Patrick, who just gets blown up, or it's Cody Whitehair, who snaps the ball so poorly that by the time you get a hold of the ball, it's already over. The defense is tackled.
Yeah.
But the Lions are interesting because the Lions are good, but against Lamar Jackson and that Baltimore team, I don't know. Like, if you have a better option, I think that's the way to go. I'll have that article out Thursday morning on the Football Absurdity website. Guys, I think that covers just about everything we need to talk about. Josh, do you have anything you want to say?
No. I've been rolling the last few weeks. This is the first time that I feel somewhat uncomfortable because 2 of my running backs are dead and Jamar Chase is on bye. So we gotta hold on tight through this week, and then we should be fine in week 8. So
yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us in the Waiver Wire Report. I've been Wally Ismail. With me, as always, Josh Chuboff. Hope you guys get your guys.
Yep.